Welcome back to the Paint, Paper and Palettes podcast. My name is Caitlin.
Hello.
I'm here with Izzy again. Before we start getting all talky, we try to do something like fun, creative, small during the podcast. If you want to do something creative, grab a sketchbook, join us, do something. Let us know what you're doing in the comments. I'm going to be working further on my Granny Square project that I was talking about last time. Izzy, what will you be working on?
Well, last time I was talking about my new love for lino cutting, and I did some sketches, and I'm still not happy with it. It's for the please recycle and reuse staff, so I'm going to be working on that during this podcast.
Oh, you're doing like creative sketches during a podcast? That's like quite challenging.
Woo, yeah, especially because it's with text, so
Yeah.
it's like it's extra difficult. But last podcast I told you that I didn't get very far because I was mostly listening to you, so it will probably happen again.
That's okay too. You just keep your expectations that you don't get a lot done, and it's also fine.
Exactly, everything is fine. So yeah, what's the topic of today?
We want to talk about running a financially sustainable business because we both have quite some experience in this field. We've been running our own businesses, sometimes
For a couple of years now.
sometimes financially sustainable and sometimes not that financial sustainable. We make some wrong choices sometimes, and sometimes we make them even though we know it's not the right choice for making profit. And that's what we want to talk about.
Yes, and I think it's a great idea to start at the very beginning. So, Caitlin, when you started your business, with how much money did you start? Like your startup money, your startup amount?
Well, it would be probably great if I had any kind of budget. But I didn't. But I also didn't have any money. So back when I started when I started with my first business in art, I started selling stickers mostly and prints of my illustration. This was in June 2020, I think. Like the pandemic was just started, and I didn't really have a budget. So what I would do is I would just buy a few sticker sheets. And I didn't have a printer, so I would go to the local print shop and made the stickers there. And then I would sell them on my Etsy. And I did the same for prints. Like I would just...
Wait, you were allowed by the print shop to bring your own paper? That's awesome.
Yeah, but it needs to be like paper that's all right for the printers they have. So they didn't have inkjet printers.
Yeah, of course.
They only had
laser printers.
Laser printers, so I needed to have sticker paper that worked with laser printers.
Right.
But for the rest, I think that's like fine for most print shops.
That's cool.
So that's how I started. I just started like making things my own, having like just a few like I had like 20 euros to start up. And that's how I started with my stickers. And then, of course, most people know for my ceramics. For the ceramics, yes. I just bought like a pack of clay for 10 euros. And I bought one glaze for 10 euros. And I still rent the kiln, but now I rent the entire kiln. And back then, I just brought my ceramics to the pottery and they would weigh it off, and maybe the firing would cost me another 10 euros. So I think the starting cost to get like started with ceramics was like 40 euros. And all the packaging supplies I recycled. So I didn't buy any packaging supplies back then.
Oh, that's great.
Because I just like...
That's awesome.
And sometimes I didn't have a box to ship something in. I would need to go and buy one box. I didn't like order a lot of boxes. I knew that so for example, if you think like I'm going to start my business next year and I order supplies online now and then, you can just start out collecting boxes already. You can see this like whole
Yeah, just
pile of
start. Just
you
start.
can see this whole pile of boxes. I need to sort them. I'm going to do that later today, actually. Like, be a hoarder. Just find room in your house to keep everything. And
Yes.
they,
Find everything you buy online. Keep the packaging. Keep the filling. Keep the packaging. Just keep it all.
and actually, if you know someone who has a physical store, you could talk to them and ask them if you can get the packaging they get when like they get their supplies, because there's a lot
Yes.
of packaging waste at local stores that you could like get and use. I so my parents-in-law have a surf business in Roermond, so they have
That's
a
so cool.
surf beach and they sell surf planks, and they would get the surf planks in bubble wrap. That's a lot of bubble wrap that they just kept
That's a
for
lot of
years.
bubble
Yeah,
wrap.
they just kept all the bubble wrap because they didn't want to throw it away in like big bags. And then one time they were like,
Good people. Good people.
You need bubble wrap, right? Here, take this. And I'm like, yay,
Take all my bubble wrap.
reusing is good. So
It is. It is
I didn't
definitely
really
good.
start with like a budget. I still don't really budget. I'm terrible at budgeting. Uh, how about you? Did you have a budget?
Well, budget. No, not really. But I did. Before I started this, I actually made for people I knew, like friends, not really friends, but like people you know, acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
If they needed the website, I would build one for them, and it were usually, don't think it's super fancy or something, but it's usually very basic websites, like cleaning businesses or what was it? Lash extension website, like portfolio style websites with a contact form, and that's it. So when the conversation happened with Ben about me buying too much watercolors, which again doesn't exist, but okay. whatever. When that conversation happened and I decided to make my own, I was working on a website for a beauty salon, and I made 250 euros, which isn't actually a lot for building a whole website. But okay. That was my and I got for my birthday, I also got a gift card for my cousins from my very favorite art supply store in Breda. So I got a gift certificate from that, and I used almost all that money to buy pigments, buy the ingredients for my binder. I didn't know about Kramer at the time, so I bought most of the stuff locally, which is good, and the pigments from Verfmode de Kat, which is in the Netherlands. And I bought my very first packaging, which was green plastic bubble mailers. And I invested in my very first logo stickers to put as like a closing seal on the packages. And I've spent, I think, almost everything from the 250 euros that I started with. And then I didn't even sell anything yet in the first few months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is how I started. But I will never forget that I started with 250 euros. And sometimes when I make a decision and buy something, for example, I bought Bahong paper directly from the manufacturer in China. And the Bahong paper isn't even that expensive, but the shipping is super expensive. So that was a huge financial blow. But when that happens, I keep thinking of the 250 euros I started with. So it's like, okay, it's okay to make such a huge investment for shipping Bahong paper because I know they will sell. But yeah, it just needs a lot of time before you make a profit out of them.
Yeah, and that can be like really difficult. I remember when I had been making stickers for a while, and actually my stickers, definitely in the beginning, when I was doing a lot of ceramics, my stickers would almost never sell. Like a lot of people followed me for purely my ceramics, and they
Yeah,
didn't follow me for my art. And they let me know they didn't follow me for my art.
they let you know.
Well, they let me know in like they weren't buying anything that I was posting for my art.
Oh,
And
I thought someone would DM you like, "Hey, Caitlin, you're really nice and stuff, but can you stop posting your art because I follow you for your ceramics?"
that didn't happen, but like when I posted a ceramic picture on Instagram, I would have like 300 to 500 likes. And if I posted an art picture on Instagram, I would have like 25.
Oh my god,
So
people!
they didn't let me know, but also,
But they did let you
yeah, they
know.
did let me know. So, and then at a certain point, I was like I was cutting all the stickers by hand, and I wanted to start making sticker sheets, but you can't really do them by
Yeah,
hand. So I
no.
think I ordered. I'm not sure if I ordered sticker sheets, but I started like testing out some manufacturers and ordering stickers from them instead
Oh, I did that
instead
too.
of making them at home, and
Yeah,
that can get really expensive. I mean, it's not too expensive to outsource stickers, but I think if you get for like a final good quality sticker, you pay like very quickly, like 60 cents to €1 per sticker,
yeah,
and then you have to get like minimum 50 stickers or something, and
exactly.
it gets like, and then you think like €30 isn't a lot of money. But if you're spending €30 on one sticker design when you're just starting out and you don't know if that design is going to sell, um, and I do think after the years, I'm now selling out of designs that I ordered when I just started. Yeah,
Really?
and that's fine. They did sell in the end. So like people apparently once I'm growing, they actually do like my older designs too. It's not like those designs were
Yay!
bad or anything, but I just like people weren't really ready to buy from me yet. Maybe I didn't have enough on my website yet, enough choice, or maybe they didn't know me yet, and now they've like connected through social media, or they saw me on a
Mm,
convention or stuff, and now they're starting to buy from me. Um, but in the beginning, I would buy like something from a manufacturer and then just be stuck with like the stuff.
a
Is
lot of
there
stuff.
anything that
Yeah.
you bought for your like to sell or for your business that you regret doing, that you learned from?
There's a lot, actually.
You're just looking around, looking at
Yeah.
all the stuff you
I'm
have.
just looking around like,
Oh, that's so much.
when, okay, yeah. It's everybody knows I buy a lot of
Yeah.
pigments. But as you can see from behind me, it is a lot. And sometimes I would buy, especially if you look at the shelves down here. Sometimes I would be influenced by the price. And for example, a pigment for 100 grams would be 6
Mm-hmm.
euros. But if you buy a kilo, it would be 20 euros. So I would usually buy, right? So I would usually buy kilos of pigments that I can never finish it up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless if it's a color that I use in every mix, then okay. But yeah, like for example,
Mm-hmm.
black, a nice black ochre. I bought 2 times. I bought a kilo of it, and both times I don't even know why I bought them both times, but and both times it's still not finished,
Mm-hmm.
and I have it for maybe 3 years already.
And then
So yeah, those are things.
it's just taking
It's
spice.
taking a lot of space. yeah, it's taken a lot of space. So that I kind of regret. I also regret some of the um, shipping supplies I have bought.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I have Bird members, and every month I ship paints to them. And they pay a set price per month, but it's included
Mm-hmm.
shipping. And when shipping prices are rising, I can't just simply raise the prices of my members because they already pay quite a lot.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would reduce the weight of the package. Um, so I bought, and this is very, very, very not sustainable what I did, but I bought 200 plastic, because it's lightweight and it's cheap, plastic bubble mailers.
It's not.
And they were very, very, very small. So I would buy those, and at the end of the day, I didn't really like using them, because if you have ever ordered of me, you know that I like to package your order like it's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And just putting paint in a sleeve and then putting it in a bubble mailer is just not my thing. I know it's a thing for a lot of other makers, and they're totally fine. But for me, it has to feel like a little gift. So I was stuck with all those bubble mailers for maybe a year.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to use them. But now they're finally gone.
I actually have
So
like
I'm happy.
really similar experiences. So when you were talking about the if you get like 500 grams or a kilo of pigment,
Yeah.
there was this time where I was like outsourcing printing my postcards design.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
if you go to Vistaprint or Druk
Oh god,
Drukwerkdeal,
print.
you look at the
Oh, I do like
postcards.
Drukwerkdeal.
You look at the
Yeah.
postcards, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you can buy 100 postcards for 18 euros. And then you're like, okay, that's not too bad. And then it's like, oh, but you can buy 200 postcards for 20 euros.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can
exactly.
buy 300 postcards for 21 euros. And
Basically, the more you buy, the cheaper it is.
yeah, and then it's like, okay, but I'm like, if I get like 300 postcards, I might as well get 500 postcards because it's only €1
Right?
extra.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so terrible. So the first two postcard designs, I bought 500 of each. And I still
500.
and I still have like 400 of both, even though I've been giving them away for free a lot.
You see, that's the danger of those things. And I have actually thought about this. I don't know if it's maybe it's our culture, the Dutch culture.
Yeah, we like discounts.
We like free stuff. We like discounts. We are also a weird country that likes to brag when we bought something on sale.
We do.
Oh, you got a nice top. Yeah, nice. It's H&M, €10. Woohoo! But like, then you get these websites where you get buy 1,000 postcards and save 30%. And then we Dutchies are like, yeah, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna spend more money to save money.
I like that my grandmother always says when she bought something on sale, she always said she earned money. So she buys like 2 pens,
Right?
and then she like she bought 2 pens for 30 euros, but together,
Yeah.
like normally they would be like 80 euros for both of them.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I earned 50 euros. And then my father is like, no, you spent 30 euros. You didn't earn.
I earned.
You didn't earn
Actually,
anything.
my husband does the same. My husband does the same. He's like, whenever we are shopping, we're like buying stuff. Like, for example, online shopping, we buy stuff, and then it's like, okay, if we order this, if we order for €2 more, we don't have to buy shipping, and shipping is €5. So basically, this item is for free.
Yeah. My boyfriend, one of his favorite sayings is, "You're losing money not buying it."
Oh my god! And this is why we have a hoarding problem.
It is.
See, it all comes together again.
But in the end, if we like really look at what we have right now, if I would go back and save €3 and get 400 less postcards, I would do it.
Yeah.
Because it's taking space in my studio. I'm
Definitely.
also lowering the value of my own art because I'm giving them away for free because I have so many.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also not making me happy to have this many.
Especially that. It's not making us happy. Like, for example, my business cards. It's the same with the postcards. You know, you buy 1,000 because it's cheaper, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna put them in every order anyway, so I need a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I'm the type of person that likes to change things up, and you know, evolve and grow. So my next, I know already my next business card will be totally different than this one.
Mm-hmm.
I already changed my logo on my Instagram to a rainbow bird because I wanted to include because I'm working with colors, so I wanted to be more colorful other than my green background. But my business cards still have my green and cockatiel bird. My thank you cards still have that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like a huge sign just sitting there with the idea that if I ever go to a market or a convention, that I would put the sign up, which is still green and my regular cockatiel.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm the type of person who likes to change things, and if you buy a lot because it's cheaper, then I'm annoyed because now I'm stuck with an old design.
Yeah, me too. I actually
like it still has my Etsy shop on the front, and my Etsy shop has been closed for a year.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah, and I actually changed so before I would buy like 100 of one design just to get like not 500 of a design. But now I actually changed my postcards to ordering them from Moo. And if you know Moo, like they have beautiful quality. Like it's gorgeous, but it's quite expensive. But the nice thing about Moo is that you can order an amount of cards and get like the discount bonus, but you can put as many designs as you want. So you can, for example, order 100 cards or 200 cards and you get like a discount bonus. But then you can say like, over these 200 cards, I have 20 different designs. And I just get like 10 of each for no extra cost. So if you have more designs as an artist doing illustration, that's great because you can still get discounts by ordering more, but you can also get like a lot of different designs. And yes, they are more expensive, but the quality is beautiful. So that's what I want to do more, and what I've been doing lately is ordering smaller amounts, maybe spending a little bit more money, and then I can test the product first before I make the decision to order a lot
more.
So that's one thing I would really advise anybody starting out, is even if the price per product is gonna be more, try to get like a really small amount of what you're going to sell. Because you can, especially if you're making it yourself, you can always make more if you run out.
Yeah.
And for prints, you can, like, if you order 10 times a print, maybe your profit per print will be a little bit lower. And, you know, that doesn't feel nice. But it feels worse when you have, like, a lot of backstock that you're never going to sell because you don't want to get rid of it.
That is actually worse.
Yeah.
Because you can see the worth. You can see the worth in the amount of stocks. Like, you have the potential of selling all of these and make maybe I don't know, 1,000 euros,
Yeah.
for example. But you're just looking at that pile of 1,000 euros that's not going to sell, and that is so annoying. And it's the same with your general inventory. Like for me, I used to make. I think I said this in a previous podcast. I used to make paint. I used to make 50 half pans of every color I would release. Because in the pandemic, it would sell out so fast that I felt like I needed to make more and more and more of the same color because people will buy it.
Yeah.
And then after the pandemic, I kept making 50 half pans per color because I had the idea that it would go super fast and sell out super quick and people will be mad. But that didn't happen. And I got a lot of paints that are still in the shop, like from Valentine's Day 2022. I still have them in my shop, and it's fine because eventually people will buy it. So I keep it in the shop. But just knowing that you have all that stock, and it's just, you see the value, but it's not selling, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I remember with like making my cups, my ceramic cups, is that I would like push myself to make a lot because I would be scared they were going to sell out. And
people will get mad.
Yeah, people are always like, oh, I really wanted to get something, but I wasn't in time. And now, when are you?
Yeah, I was late and blah, blah, blah.
When are you going to put them back into the store again? And that's just annoying, and always also something that's not something you can avoid, because people are always going to be 1 minute late, no matter if you have your design for 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. There are always going to be people that are
they're always late.
2 minutes late.
You know, and I'm laughing right now because those, when we started out and we had those people commenting us or be angry like, oh, I just missed it, blah, blah, blah. I felt responsible for them being late.
Yeah.
You know? I don't feel like that anymore, luckily. But I remember back then I felt so responsible for them missing out because of the time difference, or I didn't make enough and blah, blah, blah. And I don't have any more of that. So if you're listening and you missed out, I am sorry, but that's your own responsibility.
Yeah, when I used to sell out, like all my ceramics are one of a kind. So if people are late for the specific palette that they want, that happens because they're all one of a kind.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to make specific designs multiple times because that's not fun. Also, it's not... You're buying a unique piece, so I don't really want to be like making the same thing over and over again. But yeah, it's like you have to accept that they're all going to be different. And hopefully there's like 2 or 3 that you like and you can make a different choice. And otherwise you just have to wait till the next time, and probably my work will get better and there will be something else to buy. Don't have the fear of missing out. There will be...
Or do have the fear of missing out because people will line up in your shop, and that's good for my shop.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, be okay with missing something. Like, there will be something else. Don't worry about it. But what I wanted to say, I'm getting a little bit off topic of what...
Sorry.
I was talking about like the ceramic cups that I made.
Yeah.
When I first made them, I was like, I bet these are gonna sell as well as my palettes during the pandemic. And that was
during the pandemic.
And that was like a wrong choice, because first of all, they're more expensive. Second of all, they're more expensive to ship. And I think there are a lot more people making cups. So there's not necessarily that people wanted to buy cups from me. So I had like 30 cups and they took a lot of space in my studio. And I wasn't really selling them. And then every time I sat down to do ceramics, I was like, well, am I going to make a cup? I still have a lot of cups and they haven't really sold.
Yeah. So what you're gonna do with them?
Yeah, so it's like difficult if you have a lot of stock that you like. I also, some of those I kind of made rushed because I was like, oh, I need to produce, I need to make more. And then it wasn't my best work. And now I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't selling them. And I was also feeling stuck like I can't make new ones because I still have the old ones. And that's like not a
Mm-hmm.
good place to be in because you're not allowing yourself to grow and learn because you just was in the producing mode and made too much.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this when we were talking about being an artist versus production.
Mhm.
You can really get lost in the production, the whole production line, the whole production process. You can really lose yourself because sometimes your mindset is like, I need to produce, I need to produce, I need to produce because I have to make money.
Mhm.
But producing, like you said, producing a lot of stuff doesn't equal selling them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be really tough sometimes, but it's okay. We learn. You're making less cups right now.
Yeah, they're actually.
Um,
I still have some, but all the paint water cups at this moment are sold out. So I don't have
nice.
any more anymore. So I'm thinking that I'll make a couple next time.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm also just thinking more about I can make a few and just really try to make something that I want to make instead of focusing
mm-hmm.
on something that will sell. And maybe that's wrong, making, like, if you look at trying to get a financially stable, sustainable business, maybe it's wrong to
Yeah,
focus on what I want to make instead of making something that sell. But on the other hand, people will see that you're making something that you like instead of trying to sell them
yeah,
something.
and I agree because first of all, yeah, it would be smart in the beginning, when you're just starting out, to just make stuff that you know is going to sell. For example, your moon palettes, because you need money.
Hmm.
We need to pay the bills, and that's fine. But at the end, if it doesn't make you happy, why are we even having the business, right?
Hmm.
If you just make what you know is going to sell, what people like, um, you will have your business purely for those people. And I think if you like what you're doing right now, you're experimenting and trying new things, you will find other people who would just as much love your other work than just your moon
Hmm.
palettes. Or it's the same thing with paint. Like, people love my super granulating paints, and that is totally fine. I love them too. But I realized that I now made the Kingdom palette, which is a set of 12 almost all single pigmented colors,
Hmm.
and I'm getting more of a reaction and more positive feedback and new fans and followers that I never would expected, because I thought people only liked my paint because they're unique
Hmm.
mixes. And now I come with a single pigment mix, which was for me a kind of a big step, because I thought people didn't like it. So I didn't even make a lot.
Hmm.
I didn't even make a lot because I was already in the mindset, okay, people are not going to buy this. It will be expensive. People don't have that money. People won't like it. But now I've opened the pre-orders just for my members, and I don't know if I'm going to have enough for the actual release. So yay, great, but also very confusing to
Yeah,
me.
now
And
you
that
have
is
to make
also
more.
part
Yeah.
of, now I have to make more, and it's like, oh, okay. It's luckily I like making these paints, but what if I didn't?
Hmm.
What am I gonna do? Are you going to prioritize paying your bills over your happiness?
Yeah, you have to.
Like,
You
I don't
have to
know.
like find a balance
Find the balance,
where
yes.
you're producing to sell, but also not overproducing that you're not gonna be happy anymore. I have that with my ceramics right
Exactly.
now because I know I need to fill a kiln, and that's going to be a lot of work, but I don't really want to be in the, oh, I'm just producing more and more and more the same pellets.
Just to fill the kiln.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a balance where I'm trying to make a lot of different pellets. I just focus every day on what would be fun to make today instead
Yeah.
of okay, I need to make pellets. Everybody wants moon pellets. I just need to make 1,000 moon pellets.
1,000 pellets.
I'm planning to make 60 moon pellets, which is a lot of moon pellets. But I am going to plan to do enough moon pellets for this shop update, and I want enough moon pellets for and my upcoming convention and a Christmas update. And for the Christmas update, I'm going to do something special. So it sounds like a lot of moon pellets, but I think I'm gonna need that much.
Yeah, you're basically spreading it out over the rest of the year.
Yeah, but I'm not going to just make like 15 moon pellets today and then 15 tomorrow and the day after and then like
No.
I'm just going to see, oh, today I'm going to do a little bit and I feel like making moon pellets, so I'll just plan how many I can make today, what feels right, and then maybe in a few days I can make again a few what feels right, and it's
Yeah.
about finding the balance. So something else I really want to talk about during this podcast is active versus passive income. Because my ceramic pellets, the main problem with my ceramic pellet business is that it's very, very, very active income, which means that I have to make the hours to directly like earn money. Making a ceramic pellet will mean that I'm going to sell it for X amount of euros. When the pellet is sold, I have to make a new pellet. And that's how a lot of work works, right? You have to make the hours and then you can get the money. But in a lot of
Yeah.
art business, you can also try to find passive income, which is income where you have to maybe do the work once, or maybe it's a something that you build up and you can get a little bit of money over time where you don't have to put as much effort anymore. A good example of this is YouTube, where every time you make a YouTube video, that's like an active activity for work. But when you're monetized, you still get like income from all the videos you've made in the past. So yes, you need
Yeah.
to keep working to keep that going. But also when you're working more, you'll also have this like passive income where if you're not working for a couple of weeks, you still get some income.
Yeah.
Do you have any passive income, and what is something that you are planning, or are you planning passive income?
I don't know if it falls under passive income, but I've got my members every month, and they receive paint every other month. I've changed it. And yes, I have to make paint, but I see it as, because I have to make paint anyway for my shop update or for collaborations or something, it doesn't feel like a lot of work to make the member paints every other month, you know? So it doesn't take like a whole day just for the member paints. I'm working anyway, so it takes not a lot of time to make extra and set it aside for certain people. And it generates money every month. So every month I do have a set income that I know I will receive. But the thing with memberships is people can cancel whenever they want. And you do not get a notification of when people unsubscribe, which is fine. I mean, I used to be members of for from certain people, and then financial things happen where it's just not sustainable anymore, so you cancel, and that is totally fine. Um, so it does shift, but the amount of work I have to do isn't really bigger than I have to do anyway. You know?
Yeah, and I do think with something like Patreon, I don't know, do you have your members on Patreon?
No, I have them on Ko-fi.
On Ko-fi. All right. But
Yeah.
if you, I don't exactly know how Ko-fi works, but if you look at Patreon, I do think Patreon is like sort of passive, but also sort of active. You have to do the work for Patreon. You have to make your posts. You have to do your promises.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know what Patreon is, it's like you have a couple of tiers where people would pay you a certain amount per month and they support
Yeah.
you in that way, but you can also offer like benefits. For example, you'd have like a €1 tier, which is just the person supporting you, so they don't get anything. And then you have a €5
Yeah.
tier in which you show sketchbook spreads and show a little bit behind the scenes now and then. And you have a €10 tier where you send out a sticker per month. I'm saying something
Yeah.
like that. So, and that is
Yeah.
like active in the sense that you still have to do the work, but when you are scaling up and you're getting more people that support you in that way, the work doesn't really go up. It's still as much
No.
work as it was when you just had like one follower there.
Exactly. It's the same amount of work, no matter how. It's the same with my paints. I have to make the paint anyway. If I'm going to make 5 paints or 10 paints, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, great. It's really difficult when you're just starting out and you don't have anyone that is supporting you, because it feels like
Yeah.
a lot of work for not a lot of money. And especially
Yeah.
when you don't really like doing it, that can be difficult. But I do think something like that is very worth it. I did have a Patreon, but my Patreon was very much active income because I offered ceramics that I would ship out every other month.
Oh my god, you offered ceramics. That wow, that is, I'm shocked.
Yeah,
That is a lot of
and
work.
that was not really sustainable for me to keep doing because it was too much work, and I offered them for quite a big discount. So it was actually,
Did it include
it
shipping?
included shipping. So I
Oh my
offered,
gosh.
I think I sold like a ceramic, like small goodie bag for, it was bi-monthly, so you had to be subscribed for 2 months. And I think the tier was 18.50. So you paid like €38, but it was including shipping. So it was actually that people would pay around €20 for the pallet that I was sending out. And then there's
That is not a lot of
no,
money.
so that was not great.
Sustainable.
Not great. I
No.
do like somewhere in the future I'll probably pick up Patreon or Ko-fi or something like that. But for now I'm just going to focus on growing my audience, improving my art, improving
Yeah.
my products, and not overworking myself.
Let's start with that.
Let's start with that because you can like you need to be focused on building a business that you can do for years. So it needs to be something you like, and it needs to be
Yeah.
like we've I've talked about this to Tom, where I'm picking up crocheting again, and I used to want to make like textile crafts my business, and there was just
Mm-hmm.
not a way that I could think of that I could earn money with crocheting, because I really like fine crocheting. I like thin yarns. I like lace things, and that's all a lot of work. I also like spinning my own yarn, and that is even more work. So
That's even a lot
I
of work.
showed you that kimono that we made. That was more than 200 hours of work.
Yes.
And if you're
That's
and if you're
gorgeous.
charging like a hourly wage of for something like that, where you have to keep in mind that you're independent, so you need to charge more
Mm-hmm.
than other people would. You
Mm-hmm.
need to keep in mind that you need to charge more because you're not going to sell everything all the time, so you need to like make enough to live even if you don't sell everything.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. You have to, like, as a starter, you have to charge at least 30 euros per hour. And this isn't always going to happen. But if you're charging 30 euros an hour and you're spending 200 hours on a garment, then that's like 6,000 euros only for the hourly wage for that kimono.
Did you know 30 euros an hour isn't even
No, that's
enough?
not even enough as an independent person. But
No, you should be charging a lot
but
more.
that's like what we learned at art school. If you're just starting out fresh out of art school and you're an independent illustrator, you should charge around 30 euros. But yeah.
I think that is very bad advice from the art school, by the way, because um, you have to set your own worth, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole other
Yeah,
topic.
and a lot of artists put themselves way too low, or they're charging just like the materials and a little bit more because they're just doing it as a hobby. And I guess that if you're just doing it as a hobby, it's fine if you're not charging 30 euros an hour, but also
Sure.
it gets kind of rough for the people who want to do it as a profession. Especially if you're starting out, because when you're starting out, you'll be competing with the people that are doing it as a hobby.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, when I started out with paint making, it started as a hobby. No, it didn't even start as a hobby. It started as I had to make my own damn paints.
Because you weren't
because my
allowed to
husband
buy
thought
anything
that
anymore.
I wasn't allowed to buy any more watercolors, so I'm just gonna make them myself. And everything I had extra, just the extras, I would sell. That is how it, in essence, started. Then it turned into something bigger while we were in the pandemic and we were all working at home. I had extra time. I had a lot of boring meetings, so I would secretly make paint while in a meeting. But yeah, I didn't need that money. It was hobby money. Everything I earned back then was going to be spent on pigments again, and I didn't have to worry about paying the bills because I still had my full-time job. But when my full-time job didn't make me happy anymore and I quit, then it started to be a real business, and I have to earn money of it to live a life and be and be independent, and pay my own bills and all that stuff. And I am still not there. Yes, whenever every shop update, I make more money than I would do with my day job, and that is great if it would happen every single month.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that everything I earn is not my salary. Everything I earn, everything I sell is not my salary. You have to deduct the packaging material, my just production material, the pans, the pigments, the muller. You have to deduct everything of it. Then you have to put money in your company because your company needs to grow, and then whatever I can miss, quote unquote, miss from my company, I would put that as a salary on our joint savings account. But that is never the same amount as I would earn with my day job. And that's the thing about being financially independent and financially stable. How did you call it?
Financially sustainable.
Financially sustainable is that if you have to compete with someone who does it at a hobby and they sell their paints for less of a price, of course, especially around now with inflation and people spending a lot of money on basic groceries, people don't have a lot of money to spend on their hobbies.
And
so they were,
and maybe you have to think like, okay, are there things that I can include into my business which are going to make me more money, and then I can do
Exactly.
the things that I love that maybe don't make me as much money. I can do them next to it and be okay with not earning as much money as that thing. Using crocheting, for
Yeah.
example, if you crochet your beautiful patterns and you hand spin your yarn and it's gonna take hours and hours, you could always put it up for sale for a high price with the possibility that it's never going to sell.
Yeah.
But what if you also make a pattern for that thing and you sell the pattern for a couple of euros? Uh, and
Yeah.
what if you make YouTube videos about how you make this thing, or you write blog posts, or you make Instagram shorts, or like you can do something like crocheting a very beautiful thing that takes hours and hours, but that can't be your only source of income. If like that's not how you build a sustainable business, by just saying, okay, this is what I want to do and people just have to pay like this amount in order for me to be able to live. Well, maybe you have to see if there are also other ways. Like, and for you, I think that making paint is at least not that. I know it's still like time consumable, but I do think that you can make quite a lot of paint to give yourself a fairly good hourly wage. I have no idea.
Uh, yeah. The thing is, I don't. Um, how do you say? I don't calculate by hourly wage
Mm-hmm.
because that would be very, very unrealistic
Mm-hmm.
in my case because I can spend 2 whole days making paint. But if I'm gonna charge my company my hourly wage, then my company won't have any money.
Yeah, but how do you?
And that's the thing. And it's also about choices. You make choices, and I am very, very lucky, and I am aware, and I am blessed that I have a husband who makes enough money
Mhm.
to sustain all three of us. So we make enough money to, one, not go hungry. Noah has everything he needs. We can do fun things. We have extras, and I'm very aware of that. And that also is part of the choice I made. That
Yeah.
80% of the money that I make, or from my that I make from what I sell, goes back into my company, and only the amount that I earn through my members will go to our savings account.
Mm-hmm.
That is the whatever members I have. That is my salary. All the other things I've sold goes back into the company. Or if I borrowed money, sometimes I borrow money from, and that's the thing. It's that's the confusion thing about being an artist. You have to know what is money for your company and what is money for yourself. So we have separate accounts for the company, and then we have our family joint account.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes I would borrow money. For example, the electric bike I recently bought.
Yeah.
I bought that because I didn't. First of all, I wanted to bike more with Noah. Second, I didn't want to, every time that I have a package that I have to bring to the post office, I didn't want to take the car every time because it's a very short ride, but it's more easily done on the bike. It's less
Mm-hmm.
emission. It's better for the environment. You're outside. It's just nicer to have a bike.
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked about it with Ben, and I said I'm gonna pay for that bike myself, but it's a huge investment. I had the money, but I didn't want to spend all that money right now from my company for that bike.
Yeah.
So then you borrow some money, borrow in quote unquote, because it's our money,
Mm-hmm.
but it's for the company. So slowly you're gonna pay yourself back.
Mm-hmm.
from whatever sales you have. But if I'm going to charge myself an hourly rate, there won't be any money in my company account.
Yeah, but you do have to look like, I'm not saying charging yourself an hourly wage and paying yourself out. I mean, like, if you look at your pains and you're making a decision what to charge for them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay, because I have exactly the same with my pellets. Like, I try to charge 20 euros per hour, actually, and that's not enough. I know that's not enough, but I try to.
That's not enough.
I actually, and it used to be more, but with the prices, like going up, the electricity prices mostly, my product costs have become a lot higher, and I haven't really upped my prices because I don't feel ready to up my prices. But that means I make less money than before, actually.
But that's also a difficult decision, if you're going to amp up your prices. I mean, I should amp up my prices because of the inflation issue we have in the world right now.
Yeah.
But I also know that if I'm going to amp my prices even more, I'm going to, and I totally understand that, but I'm going to lose some customers that have been buying from me all this time because my paints are expensive. And I know that, and I know they fit, but the price fits the quality.
Yeah.
But if I need to amp it up just because of inflation, I would not feel good to charge, for example, 10 euros for a half band. That is just absolutely ridiculous.
But that's the same thing that I'm feeling right now, like with my pellets. If I put my prices higher, I'm crossing the 30 euros mark for a pellet, and I'm not ready yet to charge over 30 euros for a medium-sized pellet.
No, exactly.
And that's a difficult decision to make. You have to
very, very difficult.
You have to be fair to yourself and price yourself enough that you're earning some money. But also, yeah, it's difficult to not. I don't know. It's difficult to not underprice yourself because you also feel like, how much is something worth, and can I really charge more?
And I think that's also the issue that a lot of artists have, is that they don't price their items fair to themselves, because if they did, they know that they would have less customers.
And it's but it's also difficult that when you're pricing yourself extremely low, people are also going to expect these low prices from you. And then if you want to price yourself higher in the future, it gets more difficult.
Yeah.
And also, you're kind of ruining the market for other artists if you're pricing yourself too low.
Yes.
So it's a combination of things that is, like, really difficult. And what I said before, that I charge myself 20 euros an hour, which is not enough. Almost everything I make with my art currently goes back into my business. I have made the decision that I'm going to buy a heat press, which will cost me around 300 euros, which is, for me, a huge investment. 300 euros is a lot of money. And I really would like to pay myself out, but I decided not to. And that means I need to be really careful with what I spend in my normal life. I can't go out for dinner or go out for drinks a lot, or make big purchases. We can't afford a lot of things. But I think that this heat press will help me with producing new products, and it will help me, like, with small produce, with what we talked about before, that I can just buy 15 blank tote bags. I have some tote bags hanging, like, behind me that I bought to try out the quality. But you can just buy 15 blank tote bags and make 3 or 4 or 5 different designs, and print just a couple of tote bags and make them at home and see if they sell. instead of having to
Yes.
buy one design 50 times at least for a printed tote bag.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's difficult. You have to make a lot of choices. But you will figure it out. And the main thing I want to say is like, don't let everything depend on your art business being sustainable right away, because it's something you have to build over many years. And it's not going to be like your main source of income for, I don't want to say a number of years, but I'm going to say like the first 5 years, which is not really a number that is based on anything. I just hope that next year, I'm just doing this now for 4 years, and I hope that next year I'm sustainable. So,
I really hope so. I really hope so too.
but it's
And I hope times will get better for everyone. I mean, you hear in the news that I heard yesterday in the news that we in the Netherlands now have more web shops than physical shops. And I think it also has to do with when the pandemic hit, people losing their jobs and started their own business. But now times are super, super hard. Also due to companies not paying their employers enough. Jobs are on the grabs super, super easily. But you're not getting paid enough, and that is one of the beauty of owning an own business is you have your own power to make sure you get paid enough. But you have to be willing to put in the work and figuring it out, trying things, take risks, lose sometimes, and you will grow along the way. That is just how it goes.
I think this was a really nice podcast. If you're not there yet and you're not selling your stuff yet, know that we've all been there. We've been there
Don't
we've
give
been
up.
there when we were really excited about a new item that we made and then it didn't sell.
Oh my god, yes.
Many times before. And
many times before, and that's the part of taking a risk.
And you see all these things about people blowing up on the internet overnight. And what I like to say to myself every time, I'm still not going viral yet. What I like to say to myself is that even though it may haven't happened yet, doesn't mean it won't happen. There is always time. There is always, as long as you keep going, you can get there. It might take a little longer, but even if you are not there yet, it doesn't mean it won't happen.
Yes, and also please don't make it a goal of going viral. Because it can also have a super negative impact.
Yeah, definitely. That is a topic for another podcast, which we'll make after I've gone viral.
10 ways as 10 tips for going viral as someone who went viral. Yeah.
Have you made some progress on your drawing? On your
I did. Look, I've drawn the sketch, and then I used the pencil to really heavily draw it on, and then I stamped it on the stamp. So it's in mirror mode. Mirror. And now I'm going over it with my my fine liner, so I know what parts I need to cut and what parts I do not need to cut.
Awesome.
So it's going.
I did this where I made a little extra line, crochet line on my.
Yeah. Oh, look, they're
cute. And the thing, so I need to have an opening so you can take the cover off. So this is going to be the opening, and then this, like the two crochet granny squares on top, are not going to be closed there, but just on the sides. So it opens here.
Oh yeah, for the opening.
So that's the plan.
Oh, very nice. See, we made progress while we were talking. I knew we could do it.
All right. This was a lot of fun. We are still trying things out, so we're not experts on financial stuff. we can probably talk hours more on what we've learned. So there might be
Yeah.
another topic, like another podcast about like financial stuff in the future. If there's something you want to hear about this, if you want to know something that we learned along the way, definitely leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, so we know and we can talk about it. And if there's a great tip
Yay.
that you would like to say, also you can post it in the comments so other people can read it.
Yes, let's help each other out.
And thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in the next one.
Yes, have a great
Bye
day.
bye.